All right. Thank you for joining More Transparent Moments today. I am your host, Star Moore, and my special co host in Angela's absence,
Lynetta Kennedy, and I am back for part two of the co-parenting from a male perspective.
Yes.
What's up? What's up?
And we have some special guests, my bro Shakur. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, I'm Shakur Pinterest here in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I am a father of three. I'm a husband. What else? Photographer, videographer. Look, I do a lot of stuff. But let's see what my brother up to over
Thank
here.
you for joining us, bro. We also have Dwayne Alexander. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I am Dwayne Alexander. I'm a poet here. I'm an aspiring actor here and also in Indianapolis. I am a father. I'm involved in the community here. I'm also an advocate for those who deal with this illness called sickle cell with the Martin syndrome. So yes, I'm very involved in the community too as well.
Thank you so much for joining us. So yes, the co-parenting conversation. The part one, excuse me, we talked about just from our perspective, our experience, our new experience as co-parents. So I wanted to get the male perspective on how it affects you guys, or just your view on being a co-parent, and a little bit of your background in that area. So whoever wants to jump
I'll
right
let
in.
you elaborate.
I mean, look. Yeah.
So
Okay,
the recap from the part one was, I listened to a podcast, and it's called Therapy for Black Girls, Dr. Joy Bradford, and she did a podcast on co-parenting. So the three styles of co-parenting, number one being the high conflict parenting style, where you don't really communicate. It's very like toxic. You haven't really gotten to a place where you can communicate effectively, which I said on that show is I think that's where I'm at. The second style is the parallel parenting style, where it's kind of like a business relationship. You guys don't really have much communication because it's like you know what, where, when, and if you do communicate, it's strictly about the child or the children.
That's where I am.
Right. And then the third style is the collaboration style, where you can take trips and have like co-parent as a collective on both sides, whether it's the ex that spends time on vacations or whatever. And we've seen that in social media here recently with several celebrities. That is not my testimony. So what do you like? What's your take on?
I'll tell you what I would love to have. I would love to have that whole thing of going on vacation together, you know what I'm saying? Having so much respect for one another that we're uplifting one another to be the best that we could possibly be. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, the child has to have somebody to look up to.
Right.
And, you know, although we're not both in the same home, we can give them two different perspectives of, you know, what you can look up to, but it could be great.
That's good. That's good. So what's your background in the co-parenting?
With the whole co-parenting thing, it actually started, it started about, I think, let's say 6 years ago. And after I got married with my wife, already had a child with her, then all of a sudden, you know, it's like I found out that I got another child. And so with this other child, you know, me and the mom wasn't on good terms.
Yeah,
And
hey,
that's some good
said,
stuff.
found out.
Found out that, you know what I'm saying, I had a whole nother child, you know. So I'll be honest, how it affected me when finding out and even being in that situation, I was like, oh my God, what have I done? You know what I'm saying? Like, dang, I repeated what my father did. You know, I repeated what I seen a lot of other men do. And so, you know, I'm like, now I have to deal with this.
And talk to the wife and tell the wife and that whole situation.
Yeah, I kind of briefed that there was a possibility, you know what I'm saying? Before, you know. But, you know, it was definitely one of those things where I ended up going from one child to having 3, because my wife was pregnant at the time and she just had my daughter.
Wow.
And so now, finances, which is one of the things that we look at in marriages. Like, I think it's like one of the things that break a lot of people apart. Is like the finances. So now we got to deal with finances. Then, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because that goes outside of the house.
Oh, yeah, man. So yeah, dealing with that stuff. So it really affected me. And then I had to start going to court for child support. I was even trying to get custody at one point.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because I just thought that I would be better off, in helping out the child. But didn't work out, man. But went through that whole thing, and it was kind of traumatizing.
Okay.
But it was traumatizing on everybody. It wasn't just me, and so it was heavy on me because now I'm affecting everybody else because of my past actions.
Right.
So yeah.
Wow. Man, that's some real stuff you said there. What's your background on co-parenting?
My background on co-parenting is, it all depends on, with myself or some situations, how the relationship ended. You have to look what's at the best interest for the child. Now, it's not about me and it's not about the mother. However, in my particular situation, I felt the mother took me down child support out of spite.
Okay.
I was always involved in my child's life. I never been in child support. I can honestly say that. And I think with myself and a lot of men, we just deal with the substantial amount that these women are getting sometimes when they go to court. I do feel that men, we can't be afraid to go get a lawyer.
Right.
Situations is whole better if you get a lawyer versus just saying, this is what you got to pay, this is what you got to owe. So me looking into that whole situation, I did become emotional, stressed, drained. I felt like throwing in the towel, but I realized I had a whole lot to live for. I was in school. So with that situation, I did become better with the mother because me as a father, I was coming home with $80 checks now back in 2008.
Wow.
And I was in school. So also with that, when you start looking into why necessarily are you in the system now, what the child support look at, you look at how often is the father getting his child? Are they on the insurance? So I didn't know all that at first, so that's why I was paying these substantial amounts. But once I brought my records, this is what I make. Now I want you to see what the mother is making too. Like, my stuff has got lowered. So men, I tell you, don't settle for this. Get into the courts, know the system. Absolutely. And once you find out and realize, hopefully you two can become cordial. And after a while, time has gotten better. That mother is married now. I text message her because my daughter is involved in sports, but even just relationships, period, not just my situation. Text message gets so misconstrued.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Lord.
I'm a talker over texter any day, period.
Okay.
So if I feel like I responded or you responded to something wrong, I'm picking up the phone like, hey, I meant this. Okay, now we have a better understanding.
Yes.
So, but I did get some things. My daughter's 11, so I got her cell phone. So I pay that bill. Not whether I pay the bill or not, but I felt like she needed it too.
Okay. If
your mother's not available, I can text you. You tell your mother this and what's that. But we have gotten better. Like I said, that mother is married now. We have became cordial. Me and that her husband, I think we have an understanding about what our child is and what I expect of you and what she expects of you. So things have gotten better. But with the first whole breakup, it was emotional drain. Like you said, you had a therapist. Like I was seeking counseling, how to deal with things. Like my man here, he said he didn't want to be that man in that system again, like following what your father traits you said or something.
Yeah, like the repeating
generation, like, and I didn't want to do that because I knew I was better than that and I wanted to be better than that. So there was never a day I was out my child's life. Neither one of my daughters. I have a 19 and 11-year-old.
Oh, nice.
So the 19-year-old is off child support now, but
hallelujah.
I mean, but that don't mean that if you're a father, you always been there just because child support stopped. You're always gonna be your child's life. So so me, and I think some fathers, just because we're done with that, you still have to be involved. They still have to go to college and they still need things. You know? So that was my situation.
Perfect. So back to you, Shakur. What was it like how were you and your wife able to deal with the fact that now this is another child, another woman?
Yes. At first, I'll be honest. I tried to mask it. Like, I tried to just deal with everything without having my wife really involved in it, because I'm already like on eggshells. I'm like, dang, I'm messed up. So you know what I'm saying? I'm still dealing with that.
But you
feel me?
owned it, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
like kudos to you, because a lot of men, I feel like
Thank you.
they don't own that part of it. It's
Yeah.
like, well, whatever, or we was on break, or however the situation occurred, it's never really, the accountability is not there.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's huge.
Yeah, it was, I say what I ended up doing after a while, I just started to, start talking to my wife a little bit more about it,
Okay.
But yeah, I believe she went through, you know what I'm saying? She went through some stuff with that too. Like I said,
That had to be some hard conversations.
Heck yeah, man.
Hard conversations.
I'm gonna tell you, man. Thank God I got a strong woman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a woman who
So she's
also,
strong now.
yeah, she's looking towards the end goal, and so
All
she's
the
not,
time.
always stuck in just what's going on. So that helped me out a whole lot.
That's good. Yeah, you got to have, like because mentally, that's a whole nother, like, situation to have to mentally process that, how it's going, yes.
Yeah.
And trauma, you have to, we've been talking just in private time about how, my opinion, is everybody on the planet needs therapy.
Right.
Seriously, if we want peace on earth,
Yeah.
y'all get a
For
therapist,
real.
because there's so many people walking around here looking whole and pretending and putting on a facade that they are who they want people to assume they are, when really they are broken into 1,000 pieces. And I, in my relationship, my new co-parenting relationship, I have to see a therapist just to deal with him, because he won't. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's real.
Right.
Because when you dealing with hurt and broken people, that is exhausting. It brings you down. Did you guys, either one of you, have to go into therapy, or even as a family, have you had to?
I talked about it in therapy.
Okay.
I went, just for personal growth, to a therapist. But yeah, I spoke about that and how traumatizing that was. But not just that, but like, how could I be better? How can I change the way that I think about things, or I see these things, so that even though she may be throwing all these daggers at me, then I'm able to just continue to swipe them, you feel me, to the side, and throw out nothing but positive vibes. You know what I'm saying? For real, man. Like the video off of Instagram where like all the negativity, you know what I'm saying? This is coming, like, oh, this is coming. But then at the same time, I had to put my feet in her shoes too.
Right.
Now this is a young mother. You know what I'm saying? A young mother who's trying. She's trying her best to survive. She's trying her best to raise a son. She's trying, you know what I'm saying? But she's going through her process.
Right.
So she's falling, she's getting up, she's falling, she's getting up. And so, you know what I'm saying, I had to look at that and I'm like, hold on. We got so much in common. You feel me? We really like one and the same in a sense, you know what I'm saying? Like, you going through what you're going through, I'm going through what I'm going through. Now, what I have to do is I have to continue to work even harder to try to do my part.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that I can help her out with him. And then, from there, like, shoot, maybe we can build a little bit different. You feel me? So, like I said, that's when I went to therapy. It's like, how can I be better?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, do you have any girls?
Yeah.
Do you feel like the dynamics of co-parenting are different between your girls and your boys?
I don't know.
I mean, raising a son versus raising a daughter.
Actually, I think it would be different. My daughter, and my first son is from my wife. My other son, I guess right in the middle, he is from somewhere else, right? So.
From somewhere else.
No disrespect. That's just what my mom
From a different relationship.
A different household.
He's from somewhere else.
Hey, but I really think that it is different though, because I mean, like, a daughter really needs that comfort and that, knowing that she's protected from her father.
I said that on the last part one, that at the end of the day, my daughter, the relationship between her father and her is everything, so you have to put anything aside that you might feel for, like, the end result, like you said, the end result, especially with a girl. And I think if I would have had a son, it'd probably be the same thing, vice versa.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So,
Cause he needs me too. Like yesterday, he had a football game, and in his football game, like, they lost. I couldn't be there. I had to be at work. But since we had the issue with the co-parenting, with the whole conversating, letting each other know what's going on,
Right.
then it was like I wasn't able to be there.
Right.
And they lost, and so, like, I come home, he's like, "Yeah, Dad, we lost," and I'm like, now I gotta go into, you feel me, therapist and encouragement coach. You feel me?
Right.
Like, now I gotta be like, son, this is what's going on. But when he's not with me though, and he's at home with his mom, I'm not able to give him that.
Right.
And that's where it gets like, what I mean? That's where that heaviness come down on the father, because we like, dang, we wasn't there. It wasn't that we didn't want to be. It was because of the circumstances.
Right.
Yeah.
Lack of co-parenting. What about you?
Speaking of sports, so my daughter is involved in basketball. So I felt like for a while, if I signed her up, I'm gonna make sure she's gonna get to practice in her games. That's just me.
Man. I feel you.
So, but if there's, like he said, he had to work, right? If I know if I gotta work, it's gotten better because we communicate and I say, hey, her game is this. You take her, I'll pick her up. I'll be off for working time. Her practice on Thursdays.
Okay.
I can't take her, but can you take her and I'll pick her up? Like, we're cool now, but at first we really disliked each other because of our ways, how we broke up.
Right,
you know what I'm
right.
saying? But at the end of the day, it's about our daughter.
Right.
It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about our daughter. So, and then a child senses that too when they see the mother and the father's not getting along or whatever. And
we play y'all against each other too. Yeah.
And her mother did tell me one time, Dwayne, we never may see eye to eye, but we have to get something in order for our daughter so she don't have to deal with this type of emotional stress as a kid. So I think my daughter now sees it and it's better, but it's still at the same time, she know me and her mother never been. We had to talk about this. So how do you explain that to a 8, 10, and 11-year-old?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But like, she's older now, so she's involved. But it's still difficult now. It's still difficult now at times. I expect. Sometimes her hair is not done all the way. So, but thank God, my mother and my sister, and I have a lot of women in my family. Like, it'll be done. I know it's gonna be done Sunday, and just because the child support say you're entitled to get your child every other weekend, but like, I was doing this like way before you even took me down to child support. I was getting her through the week, every other weekend. Like, you still call me today, like, hey, can you keep our daughter this weekend? I know it's not. I'll be like, yeah, if I'm not doing nothing, but sometimes I have to work. But if it is a weekend I'm supposed to have her, I'll make up for it the next 2 weekends. Sometimes I keep her 2 weekends in a row to make up for that weekend I didn't get her. So at first I didn't do that. I'm like, nah, you took me downtown. This is what you wanted. They established this dollar amount. They want every other weekend. That's all
You
I'm
gotta
gonna do.
give it
But
a red
That's real though.
Man,
There's a lot of people that feel that
That
way.
is real.
Yeah, they feel like,
Yes.
look, it says you allotted $80 a week. With that
You will not
$80,
get
get her hair
more.
done, buy her some shoes, feed her, do everything you need to do with that $80, and it really just don't
That
work
is not
that way.
enough.
It's
It
not.
really just don't work that way.
It's sad
Yeah,
that,
it is
that
sad.
some men think that is, listen, I'm giving you this $300 and I don't got nothing else for you. In my case, like, he hasn't financially helped in over 9 months. So the court just established the support, and it's like, anything outside of that, that's it. I already know. Like, my Heavenly Father is gonna make sure I'm so good and that my kids are so good. So I don't even feel the need to have to ask, but it's sad that it's not offered. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think a lot. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sure. Okay. I was just gonna say, I totally understand that, and I believe it's that pride thing too. Like, once we had to go through this whole, legal thing. It's like we at war with one another, and yeah, we're looking at each other as the enemy now. And so, for someone to just offer, I don't even think that that's even realistic when you're in war.
Yeah, you're right.
In your mind, mentally. I do believe that whenever we're able to mature and come down to a place where we can have some understanding.
Yes.
Like, I'm not trying to take this money just to go buy some new hair. I ain't trying to take this money. You feel me? Like, it's really expensive. Like, since me and my wife, we're together, so you feel me? I'm there all the time with my children, my children who's at home. And with that, I understand the expenses.
Right.
I totally do. I get it, but we definitely have to come down onto some type of common ground where we have that type of respect that now I'm even like, you know what? I believe you deserve this. You know what I'm saying? Like, dang, I appreciate what you're doing. You feel me? Like, boom, here you go.
Yeah.
But it's like I said, that pride thing is still there because of, the way that situation went and not being able to actually talk this out because the other party don't want to talk.
Right. And I feel like even with that it's important, especially if you were married, like so for my situation, being married for 12 years and then now going back into being a single parent, I've had to start completely over from nothing by myself. And to me, that, like, my struggling, my having to figure this out, that's just who I am. I'm a hustler. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna do whatever I got to do to make sure that my kids have what they need. But to have the disrespect and boundaries cross so many ways and times from somebody that you were in covenant with, and that person almost take joy in your struggling, like that is like sickening to me, because somebody that you were the head of this house, and now that we've had to start over, me and my kids have had to start over because of your, whatever it was that you were going through, there should be, that's a reflection on you.
Right, because you know what it takes to run a household.
Yeah.
You were here to see all the financial bills, all the financial. So for you to be satisfied in, sending me $50 a week, how dare it?
Girl. I mean, really.
I understand that in that situation, you know what I'm saying? Now, when you were never married to this woman, and it was, we were young, I was acting a fool, she was too, you know what I'm saying? It's different. But I definitely, I do understand though. I understand that, and I believe, like, I had posted this recently about, we should have to take money management business classes before we get a family.
Absolutely, because that's how tight you need to run a family.
For real, you need to, you run a family like a business. I'm sitting here worried about insurance information and stuff, and I'm looking at all this stuff I'm dealing with, and I'm like, dang, normally they got a whole department for stuff like this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you have to figure it out because you never really seen a man either, you feel me, do these type of things, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. I make mistakes, and I can be transparent about it because I know that I'm in my process just as well as she's in her process, and my wife is in her process, my children, they're in their process. So I believe that we need to make sure that we invest into what we're doing at home by getting the education that we need. Being educated on the stuff that we need to be educated on, with our families.
Absolutely. I agree 100% with that. And it is really like a business. I mean, you have to be able to sit down and have family meetings. That's something that I do with my little ones, just because they're going to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, how to properly manage money. How to save money. Yeah, how to save. I listen to the Dave Ramsey podcast every day while I'm at work. And it's just listening to how people are living these debt-free lives. Like, I was not taught how to budget or how to, that credit was important and all these different things. So now, being again a single parent, I have to figure it out. Like, okay, because he was the provider. I was working the 2 part-time jobs thinking that I was doing something to build our family to get us to where we wanted to go. And, that's not how it worked out. So I'm constantly having talks and meetings and all these things with my kids to let them know, no, you're going to learn now. At 5 and 9 years old, you're going to know how to look at a budget. You're going to know how to count, your money and tell your money what to do, not let it do what it wants. And then it's like, well, where's all my money at?
Yeah.
So, I definitely agree with that. One of the things Joy Bradford said, that she's had a lot with her being a therapist, she's had a lot of parents come to therapy with their child, like after a breakup or, during something traumatic, just to help that child work through, that traumatizing experience. Have you guys considered, or will you consider? I haven't considered it. I personally I'm bringing my kids into my therapy sessions just because I think it's necessary at some point for them to talk about it on their level. Because this is traumatizing for them as well. Divorce is very traumatizing. So,
have you?
I haven't, but when the first breakup initially took place, the kid asked, "Where's Daddy at? When Daddy coming home?" So it's difficult for them when they ask you questions, why you're not coming home. You don't want to lie, but I did to my child because at that age, they didn't really understand why. So now as my daughter got older, she knows now this is what happened, so you explain that to them. So, but it's hard to explain to a 5, a 8, 7-year-old, but as they get older with this whole new generation right now that, they understand it and seeing a lot of things in this world. So social media, yes, and this music has a lot to do with it too as well. But like I said, my daughter understands it now, and it has gotten better. And thank God, if it didn't, I don't know where I would be. And just to say that men, just stay involved in your child's life.
Absolutely.
Another thing I just want to hit on real quick: don't settle for these substantial amount that some of these women is getting in court. What my situation is, I think the courts is doing now is they're coming to your job in your house and they making you sign the paper, say, hey, you got a court date on this date now, because a lot of men was getting FTAs, which means failure to appear in court because we didn't know nothing about it. So now, me personally, I got a warrant out for my arrest. Like, for what? Like, you had a court date. Like, I didn't know I had a court date. So if they come to your job, they come to your house, they physically making you sign this paper, say, this is your court date, this person is summoning you to court. So now, men, we know that we got a court date now. So, but at first, that was my situation. So I'm glad the court system has changed that for some men, because some men is in child support, for dumb stuff.
I got a homeboy down. I got somebody who's going through that right now.
Yeah, seriously.
Where he don't even know what the child is, and he's going through that. So, as far as the counseling, we have. I mean, would it be something I consider? I would consider. Yes, I would. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that would help both of us out. However, right now I don't think we're on the terms for it yet. But we just keep on pushing. Like I said, if I continue to work on myself and just continue to be the best man I can be, then maybe that's a possibility. But yeah, I do believe that it's necessary though. Just to get those perspectives, and then have a median too, because I mean we have these filters that we see things through, and it could be your past trauma. So you know what I'm saying. If you had 10 other dudes, you know what I'm saying, that's been out here being dogs, they've been doing what they doing, they living their own lives, and they going through dang, I was throwing all the way out. But if you went through all that stuff, you feel me, now you looking at a man as he ain't ish. And it's nothing that he can do to show me that he is. And so, once we can take care of some of those filters, and same thing as a man, who don't know, and never seen a father be a
example,
father.
right?
Yeah, so I believe it's very important.
But that's the reason you need a therapist,
For
because
real.
you can't put everybody in the same category. If you've been hurt over and over and over and over and over, you have to be able to talk through that stuff and be hopeful that the future is brighter than the past.
Real.
So I would encourage everybody to see a therapist. Talk to somebody. Like, there's free counseling. There's counseling out here where they go off of your income. Like, it's not a matter of, oh, it costs too much or whatever. Your mental health is worth it. Like, it's worth everything. Penny.
Everything.
We go to the dentist for our teeth. We go to the hairdresser for our hair, or the barber for our cuts.
Yes.
And the doctor for physician for our bodies, and then you feel me? We forget about this right here.
The number one, yes, the most important.
Yeah.
The most important.
So make sure that you do definitely get you a therapist.
Get a therapist, man. It is life changing, yo.
But thank you. I really do appreciate you having this conversation.
Absolutely, bro.
The energy, I totally understand, what I'm saying, where y'all coming from. I understand where you're coming from. And I believe as long as we continue to strive for excellence, grow personally, and then grow in love as well, that we can all come together on some type of common grounds to really build like we're supposed to build.
Yeah. The conversation has to be had, though. Like, I feel like there's especially in our Black community, we don't talk about certain things for whatever reason. But that's why I'm just like, we need to talk about the co-parenting thing. We have to talk about blended families. I mean, because that's the majority of people today. If when I get married again, my kids are going to have a stepdad. Like, I need to be able to talk about that. Like, make sure that everybody's on the same page. And these are conversations that need to be had before relationships begin or end. Like,
and your kids need to understand it too.
Yeah.
You need to have a conversation with your children. I remember when I was going through my divorce, she was 5. I sat her down and I talked to her as if I would, on a 5-year-old level. And I had to tell her the truth, but it wasn't in a way that it would hurt her or anything. I love you. Dad loves you. It's just that mommy and daddy are not going to be together anymore.
Right.
And when they get that news at an early age, it's no room for no curiosity or no room to try and put mommy back with daddy and all of this and all of that. And so I feel like the earlier I told her in the way that I told her, like, she'll grow up understanding that my daddy still loves me.
Right.
I'm spending time with my daddy. My mommy still loves me. You got the both.
Best of both worlds. Yes.
So there is no playing daddy against mommy.
Right.
And there is no playing mommy against daddy. So I think telling her at a young age helped with everything. So you gotta stay on the same page all the time.
I swear I feel that. Like, I have sessions with my son, all my kids, where I'm like, ask me whatever you want to ask me. And they ask me these questions, man, and I give them. Man, sometimes I don't, but I have to give them straight up. Like, I ain't about to sit here and lie to you. So look, this is, I'm gonna tell you in the most respectful way.
Right.
But what I always do is I let them know where I may have fell short. Like, I have to acknowledge this.
Yes.
Because what I want them to know is that when you make a mistake, you can continue to keep on going. But if you don't believe that daddy make mistakes, and then you feel like you can't make mistakes, you know what I'm saying? Now you run around without, depression, anxiety, all that. It's like, heck nah, man. Let's be transparent about this stuff, you feel me? Let's go ahead and raise our kingdoms. Like, let's build.
Yes.
We gotta build.
Yes, you have to be transparent. I mean, that's what this whole show is about, is being transparent. And even like with my 5-year-old, she's always like asking me the questions, well, what happened? And I'm just like, girl, it's hard for me because I feel like that's something that I'm still working through in my therapy sessions. And the communication from the other party was just totally cut off right away. So the how you break up part, like, that's important to deal with because they're gonna ask because that was their life. You know what I'm saying? So when the questions come, you have to be prepared to be honest and be transparent with them and assure them that, and I had to tell my 9-year-old recently that mommy is good. Like, I don't know but he's such a compassionate kid that I just wanted him to not have to worry. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause he sees the hustle. He's there every day. He sees how I grind hard for them, and I just wanted him to know that mommy, I'm okay. Like mommy's good, and we're constantly talking positive and about our future and things like that. So yes, this conversation was wonderful.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Yes. So I thank you guys for coming and being brave enough to come and sit and talk with us at the table about
the only two.
The only two. These two. The only two that responded to the call.
Who was asked?
Right. Where the men at? They showed up.
Yes.
So thank y'all again for coming. If you guys have any questions, please email us moretransparentmoment@gmail.com. If you would like to be a guest on our show or anything like that, you can also email us at moretransparentmoment@gmail.com. And thank you guys again for watching.
Yes.
Please stay tuned for the next More Transparent Moment, and remember to expect God's best. Bye.
Bye.